on the Rare Network podcast, the third episode and the second here as your new host slash co-host, me, Nathan Simone. Rand is unfortunately out today for an appointment, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have a fun and interesting conversation. I've got Ninh Tran here from Snapbrillia, who I met in ETH Denver with some of the Rare Evo crew. Super excited to talk to him about Snapbrillia, inclusive hiring, Web3, the market, Cardano, all sorts of stuff. I promise that it's going to be fun and it's going to be interesting. Ninh, how are you?
Doing good, man. Excited to be here. What's up, Nathan?
I know we've actually talked, not on streams, like not on live streams, and ended up talking for like an hour. I'm glad that we've always sort of hit it off. And I think the thing that I find most interesting and fascinating about you is you're not just a Web3 entrepreneur. You're like a serial entrepreneur. And I loved going out with you in Denver and meeting people. And you like immediately showed me within 10 minutes what the best way to network is. I tell like everybody this story where you just go up, you just say, hey, here's my name. Here's what I do. What do you do? And 9 times out of 10 goes amazingly. You meet people. And I was like, mind equals blown. So
Yeah, man. If you're out there, right, representing Cardano or just building something, and if you're passionate about something, and most people that go to these conferences, I think we met at ETH Denver,
yep.
right? One of the hackathons, sidechain events, Rare Evo, had a little Cardano meetup together, and then we hit up other sidechain side events, parties, and people are there to network and meet others and learn about what's new, what's latest, build partnerships, build friendships, and the best way to do it is just to walk up to them and say hi. My name is Ninh. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
It
And doesn't
really
have
is
to
that
be
simple.
complicated.
I know.
Super simple, you know.
I like that because I'm wearing my Bitcoin shirt right now. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, but I'm a big Bitcoin guy. And I love Bitcoin because it's simple. It's easy to understand. It's maybe so simple that it's complex, but yeah, just the same thing when it happens with networking. You could say the same thing about meeting somebody, that you would want to take out on a date, or like going to meetups and making new friends. And I think being out there with you and seeing it in action, it took it from the realm of theory to like, oh, you can actually do this to me. And I always love it when I learn new things like that. Like I'm getting back into physical fitness and running and all sorts of stuff. And I sort of love going over those hurdles. But we could talk about that forever, Ninh. You're an entrepreneur. You've got your company, Snapbrillia, here. It's focused on inclusive hiring, hiring in Web3, all that good stuff that we're going to go into. But I sort of would love to know about your background as an entrepreneur, because this is not your first rodeo, even if it is, I think, one of your first rodeos in Web3. Could you like maybe give us a background of what Ninh is, how much stuff he's done, and why he's now here in Web3 on the Rare Network podcast?
Yeah, man. So I started my journey really after, like, actually in college. Went to Berkeley, but my last year, I realized I studied like math, business, economics, computer science, like all of them. I was into like everything that was cool and new and interesting and tech, and I really wanted to solve poverty for people because I'm originally from Vietnam. I grew up in Czech Republic, and then I came to the U.S. So I moved around a lot. My family moved around a lot, and every time we move, our life changed because opportunities changed very drastically. Um, you could say the socioeconomic environment, the economy was different, and I remember when I first got my job in tech during college, right? Uh, my life also changed. All of a sudden, I was able to buy a house, provide for my family, and contribute to my community locally or remotely. And I realized, wow, like you don't really have to move countries in order to have access to opportunities. And Um, my first startup was a food truck tracking app,
Hmm. Yeah, I read
right?
about it. I
I
read about
use yeah, I use tech to pretty much empower local economies that local like entrepreneurs, food entrepreneurs that didn't necessarily have the funding to open like a restaurant, maybe a couple $100,000 to renovate it and all that, and do marketing and have a huge opening and hire people and have some runway. But they had enough to get a permit, maybe 100 grand to open up a food truck that's more affordable. Maybe they had a friend who had owned a bar, or where there weren't that many restaurant and food options late at night for people who are coming out. So for those owners, they're just mom and pop shops. Sometimes they just did it as a hobby. But what was unique about this population of entrepreneurs is that they didn't really care if you had a record,
Ah,
right?
okay.
Like,
Yeah.
um, or they just hired from the community. Sometimes they had a record themselves, right? And that's one way what I figured I can make a real impact in someone's life right here, right now, and not have to deal with economic policies and the politics uh, of getting stuff done. Um, yeah, so using technology to empower entrepreneurs and other businesses was fun. Didn't pan out. Trucksum didn't pan out in the end. I think we misexecuted. First startup, young and stupid, right after college. Something to learn, but I had a ton of fun. Still am friends with a bunch of food truck owners. They kept me fed and alive through the years,
Well, but
right?
wait, you say that it didn't succeed. And I feel like in entrepreneur speak, that means you didn't have an exit and it's not like still going. But you probably still learned like a bunch of
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
just like you're talking about right now. And what's interesting about that sort of, we could say this is like your first hiring app, right? Or your first
yeah,
sort of employment one, is that obviously there are lots of problems with employment if you have a criminal record, or there's all sorts of biases in the employment world. We're going to get to that with Snapbrillia. But what's interesting about the food truck business is you're right, it is very entrepreneurial. You don't need as much startup capital as a regular restaurant. And I think most people on the street, if you ask them like, hey, does it matter if you have a criminal record and you've paid your debt to society if you're going to make my tacos or open up a Coke for me or do something? As long as you do the work, show up, and you're clean and safe,
exactly.
I think 99% of people would say no, it doesn't matter. Like that person should be able to earn money and get a
Yeah,
job and
exactly.
provide. So I'm sure that like that's what started you on this journey towards Snapbrillia, towards Web 2, and now into Web 3, right? Like, what do you, not to get
Yeah,
caught up on it too much, but like, what do you think was like the main lesson of that kept you going forward?
yeah. After Trucksum, right, um, we were just about to take even more VC capital, but I pretty much saw we had like movable feast and off the grid. They started building their own apps and providing kind of spaces for food truck owners to do business. So that worked much better. So then I just got a job at Google for a year, you know, just to retire for 1 year. They
You say
say,
you say that like it's nothing. Like, oh, I just got a job at Google. Like
uh,
it's an accomplishment to get a job at
yeah,
Google.
it was nice. They had unlimited food.
I don't have a job. I don't have a job at Google. So, okay,
Hey,
what
you're running a podcast. That's a job, man. You're
that's
doing.
true. What
Uh,
did so you got a job at Google doing what? Were you a software
I
engineer?
was a software engineer, quality
Okay.
engineer there, just you know, writing tests and maintaining test suites and automation, all that good stuff. And then I pretty much automated half of my job, so I got bored. And
That's great.
and then I was trying to find a startup that was doing something cool and I stumbled upon Hire Teammate at the time, which is Hire Easy.
Okay.
That's my second startup. I joined them as a marketing consultant at first, just to make the numbers real, as they say, because they were raising for seed round. Within a week or two, made their 10x numbers real. We raised the seed round, and they invited me to join the co-founding team. So we have been there, for about 6 years with my two other co-founders, and we grew it from three people to over 350 employees.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah, we had like Google and Facebook and Amazon and Visa, Mastercard, and all the global name brands that you can think of in tech and outside of tech as clients. And you know and that's really part of my journey, how I end up in Web3, because in 2020 when COVID hit,
Mhm.
right, everybody was either laying off or freezing, kind of like now that's happening,
Sure. Yeah.
right? But then everybody is like, actually, it's not a slowdown, so let's rehire them again. And that year, I think we helped almost 1 million people get jobs. About 938,000 people get
Wow.
jobs,
We'll call
and
it a
a lot.
million. We'll call it a
Oh,
million.
yeah, just running up a little bit. So, and that happened because a lot of people were just quitting jobs. They're doing boot camps or learning tech, and they wanted to get in tech because remote jobs, right?
Sure.
Nobody
Yeah.
wanted to be out and about and be coughed on and so on. So um, yeah, that was a pretty brutal year. I We were working nonstop just to, take care of all of our employees. We didn't lay off anybody ourselves. Although, the first couple months were rough, right?
Yeah.
Our pretty much our small medium business segment, our customers there were about 70-80% wiped out. So the only customers that we had and that grew with us were the enterprise clients, and they were like hiring like nonstop. Um, so it was fun, and I realized after looking at the data that a lot of underrepresented people they got hired, but only about 8 to 9% got hired
Okay.
out of the 930 something
Sure.
thousand. And I looked at, okay, is it because we failed to present underrepresented and self-taught professionals? And it wasn't because of that. It's just the hiring process really, really sucked.
Okay.
And so a lot of people who didn't fit the mold,
Hmm.
right? The traditional go to Stanford or Berkeley or Harvard computer science background, they they didn't make it too far. They actually dropped off in the first 2 to 3 stages of hiring process. And you contrast it to Web3, where we want anybody, any engineer, any developer who knows the tech stack to help us build. It's a completely different world. And I saw what like Gitcoin was doing with their bounties and gig work, but they weren't doing it for hiring. I thought, well, that's a missed opportunity. People can just overhaul their hiring process and get somebody to start working with them, maybe on contract or a bounty gig basis. And if they really work out, then engage them to join the team full time, or as a co-founder, or as a founding engineer, whatever it is, right? And it's actually, if you combine the AI engines and the Web2 um, massive scale of what we were doing with Hire Easy to drive people to, project-based hiring, pretty much of what we do today, you can drive hundreds and thousands of hire very quickly and support big and small projects. So that's what we do today. And we've been very lucky to have a lot of people in Africa, in other emerging regions like, South America, Argentina, and Brazil, to participate in some of the hackathons, some of the gigs and bounties on the platform, um, and build projects on Cardano.
And so before we get into Snapbrillia here and talk about that, so when exactly did you start Snapbrillia? Like when did you go from Hire Easy to founding and now Snapbrillia?
Yeah, so officially it's been about 2 years.
Okay.
But we took a year break pretty much.
Mhm.
I was pretty toast after my last startup. We
Sounds
had
like it. Yeah.
we had a lot of meetings, especially after COVID, during COVID. I mean, I always had a lot of meetings, but it was nonstop. Um, so, and I felt like, well, I love the company. We achieve a lot of things. I can
Mhm.
sleep with what I've done.
Sure.
I have a reputation in the recruiting and hiring space. When I go to the recruiting and hiring conferences, people recognize me, and they tell me, "Hey, Nin, you were always there. Like no matter what, you
You're a
were always
celebrity.
there." Uh,
You're a
and
celebrity in the recruiting and
yeah, and
technical conferences. That's cool. That's like it's
like
better to be a niche celebrity to where people
yeah,
like you, you know?
it, and people recognize that name. Like everybody knows about REZ, right? Just
Wow.
like Google or everybody knows about LinkedIn, right? In
Okay.
that space. So it's neat. Um, uh, but really now, like I'm trying to educate them about like self-sovereign identity and empowering the job seekers and individuals and themselves to own their own data, not put it just on LinkedIn where they say you're the owner of the data, but really they're the custodial of your
Sure.
data, so they really own your data. And
Yeah.
then if if you don't like them or they don't like you, they can just ban your account and it's all gone, and the network you built is gone. So it's been very interesting. People are very receptive. There's some that actually are building, like Randstad, one of the biggest recruitment process outsourcing companies. They're like billions and billions every year. Um, they're implementing SSI, as part of the innovation. So it's neat to see. It's definitely a very long term investment, right? And um, going back, I did take a year break to figure things out. We were building like small things here and there, like candidate screening and coding tests and AI generated coding tests and so on. But then we really joined Cardano in probably like April or March of last year,
Okay. Yeah.
about a year. And that was when my co-founder Frank, we were deciding we wanted to build something with Web3 and blockchain, and we were deciding between Ethereum and Solana
Oh
at the
gosh.
time. And I was like, well, Solana's gonna win the TPS, the transaction or gas fees. Like just Ethereum has bigger ecosystem, and then last meeting, man, like 4 or 5, like pretty much like 2 months in, um, I come to the meeting expecting, okay, it's gonna be Solana, and the team said, hey, let's build on Cardano. I was like,
Hmm.
what,
You're
what
like
what's
that's
Cardano?
what's Cardano? Yeah, and Solana, a lot of people didn't know that FTX was a major backer of Solana, and I haven't kept up with them, but I always was sort of critical of Solana because they had all these amazing, features, transactions per second. They claimed to be the next coolest thing since sliced bread. But then when somebody explained to me that actually Solana is technically, I think, still in beta or alpha, it actually made a lot more sense to me, and that they shouldn't be seen in the same way that Ethereum or Cardano are, which are more robust and actively um, propagated systems. So no shade on Solana. I don't throw any shade on blockchains here. I just, you could have gone in like three different directions, and we're just talking about
Yeah,
the Cardano direction right now. And so that sort of leads me to my next question. So Snapbrillia it's only on Cardano, correct? It's a Cardano native, I guess we could say company and application. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could say Web 2 and Cardano, but the only chain is on Cardano. So
Gotcha.
we essentially built a couple products, right? Um, we have a first product that we built, which was released in beta in August of last year, so about 9 months ago, and that's the gig and job board.
Okay.
That supports Cardano native tokens. So we have different projects like artboards, um, like Roots
Definitely.
ID. Like you can go and see it. Maybe I can show it later.
I was gonna say, yeah, we're gonna actually get into all that in just one
Yeah,
second here. I have a super important question that's also very
yeah, yeah.
super basic. Why is the company called Snapbrillia? Like that's such a fascinating and interesting name to me. And the only thing it makes me think of is like those snapback hats that people wear. But other than that, I'm like, why is it called Snapbrillia?
What's going on?
You remember it, and it's interesting, but it doesn't immediately convey what we're talking about here. So I'd love to know, like, because I love marketing and coming up with stuff. Why is the company called Snapbrillia?
Um, you know, when people want to hire
Mm-hmm.
somebody, they want to hire them quickly, and they usually want to hire the best, the most brilliant team members,
Ah,
right? And when people are looking for a job or opportunities, they also want to get a job quickly, right?
I know it all too well.
And when
Yes.
people think about their future and their career, they also not everybody imagines like, yeah, I'm just gonna be here and do nothing, right? That's not our target audience.
Sure.
We wanna target people who wanna do something, impact the world, and are more ambitious and have a brilliant career and future. Uh,
Okay.
and so,
Or a
capture your
bright future. Yeah, I get it. So it's
right.
like hiring a snap, brilliant, bright future, and it all comes together in a word that is
Yes.
completely new. Snapbrillia.
And
Wow.
it's something that, when I pick startup names, it's something we went through different iterations. You probably cringe at some of the other ones.
Wait, let's
Um,
what were some of the other ones? Because
uh,
obviously it's Snapbrillia now, and you're doing such good work that the other names kind of don't matter. But like
right,
maybe there's other entrepreneurs that'll watch this and they, I like people. It's same thing with writing. It's like your first draft is not going to be probably what you
right.
publish. Um, I'd love. It doesn't matter how cringe they are. You're on the up and up here. What are
Yeah,
some of the names that were cringe?
we tried like Brillia, which
Okay.
tried like Snappy, Snap Intelligence or Brilliant Intelligence.
Okay.
Uh, we tried some random stuff that I don't even remember at this point.
That's not so
Uh,
bad. That's not so
yeah,
cringe. Like the Brillia just reminds me of like Brillo pads, but like I
right,
mean
right.
the Snaptelligent or the things that's not so cringe. I thought it was gonna be like wildly different stuff. Like I don't know, we were gonna call ourselves like orange, orange popsicle or something like that. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that has nothing to do with what we're
Um,
doing now.
just orange.
Okay,
Just orange,
just the
just
color
orange.
orange. Just the color.
Uh, well, some of them were like Brillia is actually a name of a different company, right? So you
Oh, okay.
can do the name research
Sure.
and all of that. It exists or not, copyright,
Yes.
potential copyright issues in
Sure.
the future. Um, but yeah, I think this rolls off the tongue pretty well.
Well,
Uh,
it's memorable,
it's
and so
unique.
it's
Yeah,
like you can't, you might not have a use for it if you're not hiring for people or you're not trying to get hired. But it's like you don't, especially in the Web3 space, you're trying to merge these things between like being technical and complex to like what you're doing, usually some protocol or chain or service, and then trying to be like cool marketing, but you can't be, too cool because then it almost seems like web 2 or it seems, it may not convey your message. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And you've mitigated it well. That
oh,
being
thank you.
said,
Thank you.
that being said, why don't you bring up the Snapbrillia like homepage, and we can start talking about what Snapbrillia is, show people the web page, and like nobody's going to know it better than you. I'll make sure that we have this allowed here.
Awesome. Let me do that right now. think it should be coming up.
All
Let
right,
me know.
let's see. Add to stream. Are we good? I think we should be good. There we go.
Awesome. So
We're on. We're on
here's
the
our
web.
homepage.
There we
Welcome.
go. Homepage.
It says onboard brilliant workers in days. So usually hiring full-time employees takes on average about um, 90 to 93 days in tech, especially.
Okay.
And that doesn't just bode for engineers, but
And
designers,
real
sales.
quick before we get lost in the weeds here, Nin, is this snapbrillia.io or .com or it's the
It's
name?
snapbrillia.com.
Snapbrillia.com, that's unusual in the Web3 space. There's a lot of these .ios. So that's why I wanted to make sure. We're looking at snapbrillia.com, Nin being the CEO of
That's right.
Snapbrillia, walking us through it. So it really
We
takes
have
that long to onboard people into the tech, like 92 days.
Yeah,
Wow.
it does. And
Okay.
we built this to really onboard people into Cardano and into Web3 projects
Gotcha.
because we have a huge database of candidates from my Web2 adventures, about 920 million people with all kinds of skill set. Uh, Haskell, Cardano developers, mobile developers, non-Cardano developers, whatever.
Did you say 920 million people?
920 million. I can show that in a bit too.
That's almost a billion people, y'all.
Almost a billion people. That's how you get to a
That's like
million people hired.
1/7 or 1/8 of the world. So,
Yeah, pretty
wow.
much.
Okay. Very cool.
And we really want to we want projects on Cardano to be able to engage the best out there, right? And they not necessarily have to be in the Cardano community. They can, but we want the opportunities that are presented in our ecosystem to be a light to those that are looking for opportunities and are seeking, solutions that they may not even know about. Like I didn't know about Cardano before my co-founders have introduced it to me. They know about Cardano a lot more than me. I'm also not the smartest guy on the team, right? And
Pretty
that's
smart,
okay
though.
because
Pretty
I work
smart.
with some really amazing, talented folks. And here's you can post a job or a gig in second, and we do the matching on the back to deliver candidates and people who introduce your opportunity to those people, as well as to people within the Cardano community to participate and help you build whatever you need to build or design whatever you need to design.
Mhm.
So we've already helped with a bunch of projects like Tangent Art, Mirai Studios. Tangent, where it's an NFT launchpad. They did their NFT staking with us. Mirai Studios is building a mobile app that was ChatGPT generated, by the way, just when it came out. DirectEd is a nonprofit that does student scholarship on Cardano and teaching them about self-sovereign identity and about Cardano and all that. And Aaron at our boards is like connecting uh, real assets and billboards with Cardano NFTs and artists and projects.
I've loved the second quote here. I want to pause on the second quote and read it. We met and onboarded so many amazing people so quickly. We had to tell the team at Snapbrillia to pause on sending us more people. That is what you call a testimonial, people, right? Where it's like, hey, we're full. Please stop giving us money. Okay.
Yeah, and
So good.
I think that like I'm a technical founder, but now I'm non-technical founder. I haven't written code for a long time, right? There are people on the team that are way more technical than me,
Sure.
but so I can relate to people who have maybe zero coding experience and they have amazing ideas, but they don't know how to implement it or where to even go to find developers because they're just out of their network. Like you didn't go to college and didn't study computer science, or you don't live in a town where there's meetups about technology, and so you don't have a friends that's coding. Well, okay, well, you can come and talk to us, and we can connect them to you and to your project, right? And so just empowering people and entrepreneurs that have bright ideas, that want to build stuff that, you know, may not code, but they may know how to market or build relationships or build the business and have a good solid business model or lead teams.
Mhm.
Then we just essentially solve this issue for them. Um,
So
so we
you're the connector, right? You're the sort of like a matchmaker, because I don't code. I once coded HTML, very basic HTML. If I can pat myself on the back for it, but I'm exactly one of those non-technical
right
people,
on, man.
one of those non-technical people that you have alluded to so eloquently. I haven't really. I'm not a founder, although hey, knock on wood, this is actually
Okay,
composite wood from IKEA.
right.
But yeah, so being the matchmaker, if we had like just to sort of bring back our ideas here, because now we're talking more about Snapbrillia. If we had to make a Web 2 comparison to what Snapbrillia is trying to be,
Hmm.
is like maybe ZipRecruiter a good analogy? Where
Yeah,
like,
it could be like ZipRecruiter, Indeed, one of those job boards where you go and post a job and you get applications.
but it seems like
Or
you're really trying to match people like they're down when we look back at I'm sorry, when we look at down at the bottom right corner, have peace of mind with our 99% matching success rate. So it's like it's not just matching people that might be a good fit, it's trying to get as close to the puzzle piece that you need so that it just fits seamlessly and you're not having to like squeegee it in.
yeah, we haven't had a project where we couldn't find a person
That's
who
good.
didn't have the skill set
That's
to work
amazing.
on
That's I mean,
whatever they needed to work on.
that's great.
Um, and it's just because we have a huge access to people
Mhm.
that we can drive to the project. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna ping and message on billion people about your project, right? You're probably gonna be like so overwhelmed with, oh my god, now I have so many people, right? Usually founders and project owners, they just want to find a couple or one or
Sure.
two. It
Yeah.
depends on the complexity and size of the project too. So we can serve big and small companies, and just startup projects too. So yeah, there's a couple bigger companies that we work on, and they're hiring a little bit more than just one or two people, right?
Sure. Sure.
Um,
Okay. So, I think a natural question that would come up here is how is Cardano involved in this? Or maybe we're going to get to that in a
hmm.
little bit.
Yeah, so as people are finding jobs, right, you can either apply for a job
Okay.
directly, and there may be a challenge attached to the job, like a project or a gig, right, or a bounty. There's different names for the same thing, pretty much. Um, and well, it depends if you're in Web 2 or Web 3. So I use gig and a project based hiring in Web 2 world, and I use bounty and also gig in a Web 3 world. Like most
Bounty
people
sounds a
look
little
at
bit scary. Usually when there's a bounty on you, you're not living your best life.
right, right. But this is
Okay.
like a bounty on a project
Sure. Sure.
work. Like, hey, I have a bounty on, hey, list my token on a mint swap, for example.
Gotcha.
That's actually an active bounty that people can participate in
Fascinating.
live today from Clarity, and so like for the project owners, instead of hiring people and maybe them not working out and using up a lot of the funding of the project to deliver the project successfully on somebody that didn't work out, right? Now they can just say, hey, I'm going to pay this much to whoever completes whatever I need to deliver. And so
Ah,
that's,
okay.
that's a guarantee for the project owner, for the founder, that the money going out will directly benefit the project, the stakeholders, whoever. And for the person that's completing the project, they know that the money and the project is real. Like, you know, on Indeed, on ZipRecruiter, a lot of the job boards, like majority, if not like majority, maybe like 80% or more of the jobs are fake, or not really active, and
Yeah.
that's why maybe even higher than 90%.
Well, and I was gonna say the bounty where people are going and solving it and getting paid for it also seems like a higher quality and more verified version of like Upwork and Fiverr, where you have the same problem. So,
Yeah, on Upwork and Fiverr, when you post a project, you bid on the project,
mhm.
right? And so sometimes it's usually what happens is the project owners go with the either the cheapest one or the most reputable one.
Yep.
And cheapest one, they always drag it longer, so they bill you by the hour. Anyways, it's not cheap, right? Uh, and reputation over there, it can be, and I've talked to a ton of like people who post these different gigs and freelance projects, and there's a lot of challenges that they have with it, so we address those challenges directly. um, Protecting their privacy, delivering real reputable candidates to the project, right? Sourcing from the Cardano community for Cardano projects, and so on. And just streamlining things and having a high match rate and guaranteeing for delivery. So the gigs and bounties, the amount is held in escrow that the project owner has full control over. They can pay it out to whoever delivered the project. After the proof of the project, they can implement milestones that they can pay the candidate or the builder, or the worker based on the milestones achieved. And it's very much streamlined instead of you know kind of pay up front and hope for the best, and
Mhm.
then do maybe 3 or 4 revisions and so on. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I know how difficult it can be because I've done freelance writing before, and I try these days to work with the person directly and maybe have a video call or get a good sense. But it's tough out there when you're a freelancer and somebody's holding the. It's almost like it reminds me of the old west, where it's like a standoff, and you both don't know whether you're gonna, you know,
right.
hinge on the other end of the deal. And I've thought for a long time that it could be improved. It could be trustless if we were to use a Web3 word. Okay.
Exactly.
So,
Um, and the where Cardano comes in is we actually use self-sovereign identity, and we
okay.
built with Atala Prism and others. So as people are completing some of these gigs and bounties, right, they're being issued verified credentials, for example, that they have successfully listed stuff on MinSwap for Clarity, or they got this job as a full stack developer at Pinnacle Group, right? Or
Whoa.
they, yeah,
I should learn how to code Java.
yeah. There's this is the bigger company that's engaging with us. Pinnacle Group's doing. It's one of the biggest staffing companies,
Mhm.
and they're like working with the big tech and finance companies to hire a bunch of people, right? But we also use it. We eat our own dog food, of course, right? Um,
I like that phrase, eat your
yeah,
own dog food. I've never heard that before. It makes sense though. It makes sense because we know in Colorado, people care about their dogs. Dogs are actually a majority voting block in the state of Colorado. So we understand exactly what you mean. If you won't eat the dog food, why would you give it to the dogs? Continue, please, Nin.
right. And the bounties and the gigs or the jobs, they can be paid in ADA or in USD.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
when things were crashing, I recommended my partners to do USD,
Sure.
right? But now that things have crashed a bit more, probably things will go back to ADA. It's
Mhm.
it's like it depends on the risk and the appetite of the job seeker. Sometimes I hear, yeah, I want USD only. I'm like, okay, we can, switch it over for you and send you USD. I don't care. So we handle the payroll and the payment as well.
Ah, okay.
So it's
Yeah.
easy for somebody in the US who normally doesn't have access to any developers in, Ghana or South Africa or Nigeria, and don't know who to trust.
Mhm.
right? To create a project and to engage. Um, but
Well,
it really,
that's a
yeah,
good model too that I wanted to touch on because living here in the United States, sure we accept the USD. Probably everybody listening or especially on this call, like didn't have a hard time getting a bank account. But
right.
I can see, yeah, how you might want ADA, which you can, it's one of the major coins. You can swap it to BTC, ETH. You can swap it to pretty much whatever you want to. You're not having to worry about somebody seizing it. And to your credit, based on the risk profile, I mean, people said that the sky was falling when Bitcoin was $15,000 in December, but I was still buying Bitcoin. Seems like a lot of people are still buying Bitcoin. So it depends on how you think about the project, how you think about Cardano versus the risk reward of USD. There are certainly people smarter than me that
Yeah,
they're bearish on USD over a 30-year period. So who knows whether
yeah,
ADA will end up being better. That's a whole nother discussion. But I think it's great to be able to offer both because they have different functions.
exactly.
Cryptocurrency can be a store of value, USD can be a store of value, but they have different risk propositions. So it's good. People could potentially, I guess, earn in both if they want to.
Yeah, and you have direct SIP30 integration to Cardano wallets.
Oh yeah.
We also support Cardano native tokens. So, like Clarity here, they just listed a gig for helping them list their native token on MinSwap, right? So,
Okay.
if there's anybody out there who I think somebody's already working on this, but you can always try your luck, right? Just go and express interest. You know, 40,000 Clarity. I think it's roughly a couple $1,000.
Wow.
Uh, you can probably sell it or keep it or hold it. Like, so projects who are building who don't like necessarily have a ton of USD or
Mhm.
ADA right now, but they
Mhm.
have their native tokens, they can come here and recruit the talent and the people that they need in order to get their project off the ground, build stuff, design stuff, market stuff, whatever, right? And
That is so
usually what
interesting.
happens is you engage on this and you're successful, you do your work, probably opportunities will open more for further collaboration, right?
Yeah, I wanted you to sort of explain that, the feedback mechanism, because I think that you were talking about self-sovereign identity. Is that what you were calling it?
Yeah,
Could you explain that concept? Because I think it's one, it's both self-explanatory, but then two, it still might be like a new concept to people. And
yeah.
I think I
So
know what you mean by it, but
self
let's hear
sovereign
it.
identity pretty much is that the concept is you own your own identity, you own your own data, you own your own future. If it's similar to like self custodial wallets where you're responsible for your own wallet, your own seed phrase, you own your own tokens. It's not in an exchange somewhere that's custodial. So like it's not on LinkedIn. I mean, it could be on LinkedIn. You can have both. But let's say the exchange dies or LinkedIn dies, then all your data is gone, right? Whereas
Yes. Yeah.
here, it lives in your mobile app. So we're actually building a self-sovereign decentralized identity wallet where we don't store anything.
Mhm.
Everything is stored and encrypted on your phone, and we just make it super simple for people to be able to apply to these different gigs and jobs, cash out into their wallet, and receive a verified credential that they have completed a job or done the work that is fraud proof, verifiable without needing a middleman or a third party, just like you can send tokens directly, like I can send directly to you. I don't have to go through a financial institution,
Sure.
right? Like a bank, using any Cardano wallet, pretty much. Um, uh, so yeah, I see some questions in the chat. Very cool. We'll
Oh,
get to those
yeah,
probably, but I want to finish the SSI stuff.
sure.
So here is, like the one of the beauties of this is, let's say that you listed stuff on freelancer and you have a bunch of 5 stars for your project because you did well, right? But then you know maybe some things don't work out on freelancer.com or Upwork, and you want to move out and move your business out. But what happens is you really can't, because you already built the brand on freelance and on Upwork. Or if you're selling stuff, right, you build your 5 stars or 4 stars for your product on Amazon, and that's where your customers are, right? That's where your brand and marketing is.
Sure.
Similarly, if you get a job somewhere at company A or B, you build a lot of the relationships with other teams and your reputation within company. But if you move jobs, you have to start over a lot of
Hmm.
times, because there's
Hmm.
NDAs, right? You can't talk about it, you can't really share stuff.
Yeah.
So verified credentials is something where it proves a task or a certification, or it helps you prove your reputation or who you are and what you can do. Um, and something you own in your wallet, you can share it. You can also revoke permission of sharing. You can do a lot of things. There's, I don't even want to get into zero knowledge proofs that not only respects, um, uh, like you control your data, but you can control, like, you don't have to share any of the contents
Oh
of
yeah.
your data. You can just
Mhm.
share the predicates of, is it true or not? Like, if I don't know if you guys are in the US and you apply for a job, sometimes they ask you, are you male or female? Are you, what ethnicity are you? And so on. Most companies in the US, they use it for enterprise compliance, like
Sure. Sure.
Equal Opportunity Employment Commission, EOC1
Yep.
compliance. But you don't know, is it going to be used against me during the interview process? Not supposed to, but who knows?
That's true. And then if you select the declined answer, you don't know whether that specific company will
Exactly.
dismiss you because you didn't reveal it. So
Right.
that's sort of a double-edged sword. I love all the self-sovereign identity stuff. We definitely don't want to get into zero knowledge proofs or ZK rollups, which is how I think Ethereum finally scales. I guess we'll see. I remember when I had that
Yeah.
explained to me, I was like, oh, that's how Ethereum finally works. I'm not an Ethereum hater or a lover. I'm neutral on them. But we're not going to get into that. What I like about and then we'll look at some of the questions. I've kind of been ignoring the questions because usually if it's me and Rand here, then we'll try and get to them. But this is sort of more like a pre-recorded video, but we'll get to some of them in a second. The self-sovereign identity, I want to wrap this up. Like it's almost like a passport, but it's if your passport was combined with a resume, and if all the stuff that you had done, so not only are you who you say you are, because that's easy to verify, but all the work, all the merit, all the labor, because you own your labor that you've put into it, is also verified, and it's on chain, and there's no way that it can be tampered with. So that way, other employers or other people you might want to work with can trust it. Am I getting that correct?
Yes, it's you don't need like a background check company,
Mm-hmm.
or like a third party KYC company to verify you, right? You don't need reference checks anymore.
Yeah.
You need somebody to ask your old employer, like, how was Nathan, or how was Nan, or whatever. You just share the
Don't
verified
ask them.
credential, that's fraud proof, that is directly, hey, this is undeniable proof that I worked at Snapbrillia, or I
Mhm.
worked at Google, or wherever, right? I built a smart contract and deployed it on Cardano, and it eliminates fraud. So anyone can claim, yeah, I built a smart contract and it's on mainnet, right? uh, and so on. They can fork a GitHub repo and just change, not even change their name in the README of the author, and claim it's theirs. So, and it has so many use cases, not just for employment. Could be e-commerce, right?
Mhm.
How do you know that what you're buying is actually what you're buying? That the reviews are real? How do you know that the seller is who they say they are and they're actually going to ship you the item, right?
Yeah.
Because even on Amazon, I look at some of the reviews, and they are reviewing 5-star reviews, but they left the review for other products, and they just changed the listing to another product, So they use the 5-star reviews to boost their sales, right, of another thing. So they
Well,
kind of farm things in. So using verified credentials, you're eliminating a lot of these systematic, you know, like fraud, pretty much, or systematic ways to game the different systems, whether it be verification system or reputation systems. Um, in in Web3, and especially in Cardano, it can be related to governance, right? Is someone a good actor?
mhm.
Have they followed up on the things like in politics, like, did they actually vote in accordance with the platform that they have promised, right? Um, and is for AI, is the content generated by AI? Is Nin AI just talking in the air right now, or is he a real person,
Oh
right?
gosh.
People claim that I was a bot at some point too. So there's many different use cases, and the beauty of this is it's part of a larger ecosystem, right? It's not vendor lock. You own your own data, so you can
Mhm.
use it to prove that, yes, I'm a real human, and not have to depend on verification from a bank and other financial institutions to know that who you are, who you say you are. You earn, or you have earning potential for whatever. You can apply for a loan, or buy a mortgage, buy a house, apply for mortgage, get a credit card, whatever, right? So, owning self-sovereign entity is really a long-term investment. It really depends on adoption,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we consider ourselves really issuers of a lot of these verified credentials when it comes to employment, career data, skill validation. So people don't have to, you know, like do the coding test over and over again, or validate that, yes, I have worked on this, or I'm part of Cardano, whatever, right? Adding to that whole ecosystem, and eventually, we're building an identity wallet where people can store all of this. It's gonna be self custodial, um, completely people under everyone's control. We don't store anything, and hopefully more projects will adopt this, and we can have a huge ecosystem where maybe you'll have your like health insurance on it, where
Wow.
you don't even need a ID card, right? You just walk up, scan a QR code, and they know exactly who you are. You know exactly how much you're paying,
Mhm.
right, for coverage. Um, and you don't need to show your driver license or anything. It's you, right? Um, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of use cases for this stuff.
I definitely, the use case is immediately apparent. I like your descriptions of describing it to LinkedIn because, I'm on LinkedIn every single day. I'm on Medium as well. Not daily anymore. I try to be on daily though. And I'm cognizant that those platforms can shut down at any time. And so about every couple of weeks, I'll download my data and save it on my desktop to make sure that, I don't think LinkedIn's going down anytime
Yeah,
soon, but just in case it does, it would be great to be able to re-upload that stuff, especially with my Medium stories and the stuff that I've written. I don't care whether it's an HTML. I just want the text, right? It's like I worked hard on
yeah,
all this text and doing all this stuff. It's mine. I want to own it. All this stuff is immediately apparent. It's interesting that you brought up the health insurance stuff because I know that you are in California, Nin, and you can actually look up earlier this year, the California DMV partnered with Tezos to start doing car titles and car registrations via NFTs because people have been talking about that use case for forever. So, like, how
right,
long have people been saying NFTs aren't just for art? You could toss your car title out the window. It doesn't really matter as long as you can scan the VIN number or have some
exactly.
identifying information. It's there forever on the blockchain. Um, it seems like such a dramatic use case. I'd like to get to maybe a counter question here before I get to some of the questions in the chat. So this is all great for the stuff that's positive, for your positive work history. But let's say you tried to work for somebody and you had like a dispute with them, or, you know, you didn't do the work that was promised. I assume that that is also marked on your self-sovereign identity stuff. So it's good that the blockchain, probably one of the positives of the blockchain, whether it's Bitcoin or any other chain that we're talking about, is it gives the incentive to be honest, right? It's just easier to be honest because then it's open and transparent and people can support you. But then at the same time, if maybe something, you have a disagreement or something goes bad, or like, let's say you do suffer an injustice, right? The employer doesn't like you and said you didn't do the work. How is that sort of denotated and marked, and like, if it's there on your history forever? Is that something that's been thought about?
Yeah. So essentially, with verified credentials and sovereign identity, first you have to accept the verified credentials, so you can also refuse not
Okay,
having that, at least in a way that we implemented it,
sure.
right? Uh, Now, and second, you also don't have to share it, right? So it can be private unless you're engaging in a service that, or something where it requires full disclosure, right?
Sure.
And then you, as the self-sovereign actor, you have to be mindful of how you control your privacy. It's not like on Facebook where you
Yeah.
said something and everything's public or everything's for friends or everything's
Mhm.
private. Here you can really get down to it and, control your privacy granularly. um, for the most part, for us, we just display what's needed, right? Or ask you for things what's needed. Usually, because right now we're onboarding people with verified credentials and self-sovereign identity, we just ask people to upload a resume alongside with their LinkedIn, and they're gonna have, we call it on-chain reputation, with
Yeah.
previous like gigs and jobs that they've completed, star ratings from the project owner, and also you get to rate the project owner
Oh, that's good.
as
Yeah, like a
well,
Lyft
right? For
ride.
other job
Okay.
seekers to
Mhm.
see. Um, so, you know, because not everybody knows how to hire, right? We part
Yeah,
of
no.
this
Mhm.
onboarding and partnering process, we teach people how to hire, the type of mindset for interviews, the type of mindset and best practices to make project-based hiring successful. So, for example, people say, "Yeah, I just want one person." I'm like, you really don't want one person, because what if they drop out?
Sure.
Life happens, right? You get sick, move countries, lose internet, whatever, right? You probably want to have a second team. And you know what? If they both build it, that's great. A lot of people collaborate on the platform. It's not like me versus you, especially for developers or people, workers in emerging countries. They just appreciate the opportunity to even build their resume and get connected with cool and interesting projects, right?
Absolutely. I love that you're able to rate each other back and forth, because it reminds me of one of my favorite adages, where it's like there's always three sides to every story: your
Right.
side, my side, and the truth. And so usually the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
But
somewhere in the middle.
it
Yep.
keeps us, it like it I think that that's always the promise, the best promise of the blockchain. And you don't have to delve too deep into Bitcoin philosophy to see this, where, there's lots of bad people that are going to use Bitcoin for all sorts of stuff, in the same way that people use gold and US dollars for other sorts of stuff. But the fact that the system is open and auditable and can be checked is just much better than things that we've had historically. And that's not unique to Bitcoin. That's really any chain other than Monero or any of the obfuscated privacy chains. Before we move on, real quick, Nin, I wanted to get to two of the comments that we have here. One of the comments is from Jackalberry. He says, "Whoa, what is this? This is Ninh Tran, CEO and founder of Snapbrillia. He's been taking us through Snapbrillia, self-sovereign identity, hiring, a lot of LinkedIn analogies, Fiverr, Upwork, ZipRecruiter, but all better than that. You can find out more on snapbrillia.com. And then the other pressing question that we had come up was from Rams Gold. Are taxes required to be paid on all of these transactions in the US? Keep in mind that Nin is not a tax attorney, but he may know the answer.
I am not a tax attorney, so please, if you make any significant transactions in the U.S., especially for your business, right? Also, always consult a tax professional, right? But from my experience and from just doing business for a long time, about like over 20 years.
Wow.
Holy cow. Almost 20 years, I'd say.
You're
Almost
old.
20 years. Um, I'd say, these gigs are similar. So if somebody is in the US, before you pay them a significant amount or any amount for your own compliance, you can have them fill out the W-9 just to make sure that you have the SSN, whatever, if you are a US based entity and you have to comply with RS, right? So usually it's candidates or job seekers within the same country as you, right?
Gotcha.
Now, if it's like somebody that you employ and they happen to be in Ethiopia as a developer, designer, whatever, you're sending them 6,000, 2,000 bucks or however much, right? Usually, again, there's like a W-8 Ben
Mhm.
form, but then the taxes are on the worker itself, right? Usually they don't pay anything unless they run a business and they earn a significant amount. If you're a non-US company, right? Again, unless you have significant amount, like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in value, then at that point you do want to have some kind of compliance. Usually you'll have those systems in place already if you're doing that much value. For most people who are just using it to get a project off the ground, right?
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, there's no concern.
All good stuff to know.
Yeah.
One, Ethiopian food is amazing, and two, we're just
Yes.
gonna make the disclaimer. Yeah, consult a tax attorney in your local area or jurisdiction because unfortunately, neither Nin or I are tax attorneys.
Yes. Yep. Uh, yeah. Go through the corporate or business tax, and also advise the individuals. Right. We do not withhold any taxes part of this transaction. Um,
Gotcha. So we've seen a sort of broad overview of Snapbrillia being this job marketplace, connects almost 1 billion people across the world. You've shown us some of the opportunities. I think that there are still two things that maybe we want to briefly go over. I see them at the top.
yeah.
Grants and work. Grants
I
and
just
work.
want to show the beautiful people something.
Sure, yeah.
So, for example, here's for example, if somebody wants a software engineer,
Okay, so
is looking
this
for
is
a
where you'd be.
developer, something like that,
This is
right?
on the worker side where you'd be looking
This
for
is on the
software engineering
business
role.
side.
Oh,
Like
this
you're
is on the
looking for
business side.
somebody,
Okay, when you're
uh,
looking for somebody to hire.
and for example, I want somebody who knows Haskell, maybe TypeScript, right? And we can see how many people we have. You know,
Wow, that
like
populated very
5.8
quickly.
thousand people. They mostly are software engineers, full stack developers, front end. 90% will have Haskell, 90% have TypeScript,
Wow,
right? They work at big and small companies, and we have different filters, right? We have, experience, education, company, location.
quite a lot,
Let's
quite a
say,
lot. Yeah.
yeah, let's say we want people in, um, we don't want people in rich countries, right? High GDP countries because we're on budget, right? Then we can still identify people who have Haskell and TypeScript in emerging countries, and I can drill down to who they actually are and reach out to them. Right?
Wow. Oh, it
Yeah.
looks basically just like a LinkedIn profile,
Yeah.
similar information that you're seeing.
Yeah, but we actually augment it and do more stuff with it, right?
Crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I,
So there's a lot of things that we are able to do on behalf of the business, um, and that's why we're able to just drive people to any project, any type of project. Doesn't have to be engineering. Could be, I don't know, uh, marketing, marketing
Interesting.
manager.
Okay. Just because I'm curious, after we do this,
Yeah.
I want to see if there's anything about podcasting. If there's
Okay. Let's see.
let's say podcast.
Podcast host, or podcaster, and then also like content creator, radio host, blah blah blah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Let's see.
Whoa.
There's a lot of people. Most
Looks
people don't call themselves podcaster. Most people call themselves podcast host.
okay. Interesting. Looks like
English,
I've got
social media, public
some
speaking, freelance,
competition.
self-employed people. Right. A lot of media production, broadcast. A lot of US, a lot of UK, Canada, some diversity. Right.
Whoa, you even rated by top schools and there's just so much information you can
Yeah.
go
So
through.
we use the wealth of data that we have to just, you know, find exactly the right person in the market that you need for your project.
You
Um,
really can drill down to like, I want a woman in
yes,
Cambodia with 4 years of experience
in
who majored in
something,
this. And if you can find them, it's like you can
right,
hire them.
like who
That's
has experience in agriculture and loves coffee, because I want them to work on my coffee project and NFT
okay.
project.
Okay.
Go talk to farmers and whatnot.
Well,
So
I see that you closed the screen down there. I wanted to make sure that is there anything that we haven't talked about with Snapbrillia that you have like
yeah,
burning
there's a
desire
lot. We have a
to
lot of products. Let me pull this screen up.
I'm trying to be cognizant of your time here, but we've just had so much stuff to go over.
Hey, maybe podcast number 3.
Yeah,
Or number
well, we
2.
can all, we could have you back on, or during the event, we're supposed to be having podcasts.
Oh, cool. Um,
That's still being
we
hashed out.
recently built out the crowdfunding place where you can actually come on Snapbrillia and create your grant proposal, and essentially for the community to give you ADA, right?
Wow. Okay.
Um,
So like your
and
own little version of Project Catalyst. Right.
Yep, my own little version with Project Catalyst, except that we also have the credit funding match, which essentially, if people donate to you, um, let's say I want to donate to Ada. Let's see if I can connect my wallet here. You can see it's kind of coming up. Connect to site. So I'm gonna share this back. Okay, I have to open up my Eternal wallet and enable connecting. Give me a sec.
There's always something with Eternal Wallet, isn't there? I'm just kidding. I like Eternal Wallet.
Yeah, me too.
Like Eternal Wallet and
All
Nami.
right.
I don't play favorites, but those are the ones that I've had the most experience with.
Okay. So it is connecting. All right. Let me go back here. If I check out in this one, I would be able to. I think I added them back to cart, but I would be able to essentially just check out and select the wallet that I've connected.
Okay.
Just added, let's say I want to add 1,100 ADA or something. And then what we would do is we would estimate how much more ADA from the matching pool we would donate to this project.
Okay.
So it's been recently launched. Uh, so yeah, this is in beta. You can see Ada Quest is with Marcin is doing something. Sean, I think this was like a test grant. So if you guys want to go on and create your crowdfunding um, campaign, and maybe promise tokens or NFTs if people give certain amount, like a perk, like here, or support Ada Quest, right? If people give 25 Ada, then they'll get in-game swag in their game, which is like a RPG game on Cardano, right? If you give, over 2,000 ADA, then you'll have 2,000 gems, uncommon hero destinies, and so on. So
Alrighty.
yeah,
Okay. So there's opportunities there. What else? What else is in store here for Snapbrillia that we're not talking about? I think we mentioned before the conversation there was something that you're still developing. Maybe that was the
we
self-sovereign
have a
affiliate
lot.
wallet?
Yeah. So this one also, we built a Discord bot, a version of quadratic voting that you can integrate into your Discord server and vote on your proposal and make decisions on DAOs um, within a community. And all of it can be through quadratic voting formula. So it balances the founder voting power and the whale voting power with the rest of the community. It's completely free. We don't charge for it. You can just install it, and we're also adding the identity verification, the decentralized identity verification, where you want to make sure that the people who are part of our voting are actually owning your NFTs or your tokens that you're voting with. It supports Cardano native tokens as well as Ethereum and ERC20 tokens. So you can vote with Ethereum NFTs as well. We have some cross-chain DAOs and communities and projects on Cardano. Um, yeah. And there's different voting options, I believe. You can give everybody the same voting power. Like, so it almost simulates one person, one vote,
Mhm.
or they can just connect their wallet and uh, and vote with their voting power. The last thing that we're really excited about, and I can't really show it because my product is still building it,
Okay. All right.
and they want to keep it on the down low. But
Sure.
it's something that we're gonna announce and launch at Rare Evo,
Really?
and yeah, in August 24th,
Yeah,
I believe.
it's gonna be August 24th to 26th in Denver, Colorado. Get your tickets now.
Yes. But it's something we're really excited about. It ties all of this together. It's something that any crypto enthusiast would love to get their hands on. It's something to do with a wallet that connects both crypto and decentralized identity and opportunities and governance all together.
Hmm.
So yeah, stay
Wow.
tuned. It's gonna be
Okay.
super simple and easy to onboard your mom, grandma, and grandpa to crypto, just with this simple app, and it's gonna be usable. There's gonna be a bunch of stuff in it.
Wow. Okay. That's definitely some alpha that you get on the podcast and that you definitely want to go to Rare Evo to actually
Yeah.
see.
Um,
I wasn't expecting that. We didn't plan
Everybody
for
that I shared it with and demoed, like just the build app, they're like, "Wow, I can't wait!"
that.
Uh,
Okay.
you know, so I'm really excited. So this is coming from just people in the community that I speak with, and some of you probably know what's coming. Anyways, it's coming. Okay,
And it's
and
definitely like, like it's definitely going to be done by the time Rare Evo occurs in late
we
August. It's already on track. It's just being, tested and finessed right now.
we actually wanted to launch it in not January. We're testing in January. We wanted to launch it. When was Bitcoin Miami? May?
Um, eh, eh, That's a good question because I didn't go this year. It's
I
usually,
think it was May
yeah,
18th, something like that.
early
So we
May.
wanted to launch it in May,
Hmm.
but you know, we hit some snags with building and completing with Atala Prism and so on. Um, I mean, the team behind Atala Prism, amazing team. They're doing amazing work. Uh, but there's difference between a 2.0 version and 1.4 version where we
Yeah.
help the team go mainnet
Yeah.
and so on. And so just double checking everything, testing, and yeah, we're gonna launch the whole thing in August at Rare Evo. I'm very
August
excited.
at Rare Evo. That's all that you need to know. Well, I mean, of course, you want it to work, right? So you want it to take, you need to take as much time as you need to release a working product that is that seamless and ambitious. Nin, we've gone almost an hour and a half now. We're actually at the hour and 15-minute mark. I want to be conscious of your time here. So maybe we can end with some questions after now we've talked about Snapbrillia. We've actually seen Snapbrillia, the website, the hiring mechanisms. We've talked about self-sovereign identity. We've talked about like how you can, if you're hiring for somebody, you can get down to the gradient of, I want a woman in Cambodia who loves coffee, who went to this university. If
Yeah.
you really are trying to be super selective in hiring or just find people that are the best fit. I'd like to talk now about, for just a couple of minutes, about like, I think, were you at Rare Bloom last year? I think you were, right?
I was, yeah.
Okay.
It was
I,
awesome.
I was I was not, unfortunately. I had to work. I wanted to go. I was able to go to the Bitcoin conference last year or so, and Consensus, but
Yeah.
that was with the place I was working with at the time. So, this year, I'd love to know, like, why do you like going to conferences like Rare Evo? What are you looking forward to
Hmm.
this year, other than, dropping that product so that people can be super excited? Like, what is it about the conference experience, being in person, being around other people in Web3? Just go on a tangent if you want to.
Yeah, for me, I launched my last startup Hire Easy at a conference called SourceCon, right? And out of that conference is where we met, just a recruiter at Amazon. Um, and we connected. I told her she's gonna be a recruiting manager, and just making friends, like and all of these people, um, we hanged out on like Facebook groups and
Okay.
LinkedIn groups and online, and we work together, talk and give advice, and just be active citizens in the industry, right? And when you meet the people that you interacted for months, sometimes years online, you meet them in person. That's like, wow, you actually exist, and like, holy cow, it's so good to see you, and you get to shake their hand or give them a hug,
Mhm.
and just shoot the breeze for a while. That's priceless. It's like you maybe like you are deployed part of the military for a while. You don't see your family, right? And then you come back and it's like it's amazing. And a lot of times when you're deeply involved in a community like Cardano or like recruiting industry community, it feels like coming home to the family, right?
Mhm.
For me, because I work at a desk and a lot of us work remotely, right? These days, it is also like a vacation from the desk, right? It's very
Amen.
much added benefit where you go on vacation. Obviously, I'm there for business and to
Uh-huh.
meet people, build partnerships, and so on. Um, but you get to learn from and meet people that you never would have the opportunity to meet. Like Charles, I met at Rare Bloom for the first time. I've seen him around, but I never was able to shake his hand or take a
Uh-huh.
picture with him, and just see like who's building what, right? Who's actually there, and especially now, like a lot of builders are out, a lot of projects are out there, and also people who are always going to conferences, like the influencers and the industry leaders and so on. I'm yet to meet BitBoy. I've met him, seen him speak a couple times, and and just to tell people about what you're about. Find people who are like-minded, like yourself, right? Have fun. There's always, almost always good food. I don't remember if I went to a conference who didn't have good food.
Yeah.
Um,
Those conferences
or
don't last. That's why.
yeah,
They don't last.
right. That's right. Um, Even the smallest conferences had a great food, and you get to explore the town and the city sometimes when you have time.
Yep.
um, and sometimes you get to bring family and friends. Like that's the like at the Red Bloom event last year, we had some tickets for people to bring their friends and family who
Hmm.
don't know about Cardano to come and learn and kind of introduce your family to your other family, right? And the feedback that I've gotten, like, wow, this is awesome. I didn't know that so many people believe in this. It's not fake anymore. It's not a fraud. It's like real thing. There's so many people here, and they all talk about the same thing. I'm like, holy cow! And it makes it real,
It
right?
does. It does.
Like there's this real community around this. There's real projects, real people, right? Real ecosystem, uh, like not just pictures and PFPs and keyboard warriors, which all of those are great things, uh, but flesh and bone, and sparkle in the eye and passion in the heart, and that's what it's about. You find those people at conferences. Um,
Exactly. Could not agree with you more. And obviously, I met you not at a conference because I wasn't actually at ETH Denver, but at a conference side event, we
yeah,
could say. And you're right. Like just, I'm not a huge drinker, partier, anything like that. And we were out in Rhino, which is the River North district here in Denver, which even though I've lived here for 5+ years, I don't really go to all that often. And so like
right,
I even kind of felt like I was on vacation. And then
yeah,
you're at a party, you're meeting people, everybody's into crypto, which is like just not the way that normal life is. Like you could walk in any Starbucks and say like, who's into crypto? And like maybe one person or two people
right,
would raise their hand. And so the fact that everybody's in the same room is special. You reminded me, Nin, that you are, and I'm so glad that you reminded me of this before we have to close up. You're like a patron of the technological arts because you have given away a lot of tickets to NFT NYC. You gave away tickets to Bitcoin Miami. Um, you've allowed people to go to conferences on behalf of Snapbrillia that otherwise
and
wouldn't have been able
Catalyst and Cardano community.
Mhm.
Um,
Who wouldn't have been able to go uh, otherwise. And I think people don't realize how big of a deal that can be sometimes because not all of us have amazing employment. Not all of us have the funds to do so. Just simply traveling to Miami can be an expense in itself, no matter going to the conference. And I know specifically because I follow it on Twitter and I know people in Cardano. I know that it was a big deal when people could go to NFT NYC on behalf of you, because I would hear Andrew Donovan talking about it and other people. So
that's awesome.
it's a very goodwill thing that not only you like going to conferences, but even when you're not going to the conferences yourself, you can kind of like, it's almost like a Web3 sponsorship visa or something like that. You can allow people that wouldn't have been able to go, and now they have that, like, it's almost like we've been talking about like the Disneyland experience. Like it's real, it's now it's a thing. And I
Yeah,
think
man. Like,
it's just such a goodwill mechanism, especially for a founder, somebody who's trying to connect. It fits perfectly with a guy who's trying to connect people with employment and employers to also kind of let people go out into the world to see the ecosystem.
yeah, I think passion sells, and it's also very contagious, right? A lot of people, if you're working on something and you don't have that emotional connection, whether it's recruiting or Cardano or Web3 or whatever, like life is tough,
Oh yeah.
right? Happens, whether in business or personal life. And
Mhm.
so just knowing that you're not alone, the people are in this with you, whether bear or not, like I went to a conference and said, well, I don't really care if it's, Cardano's is $5, that'd be awesome, or 10 cents or whatever, right? We're here to build something that, that opens more opportunities to people, and we're here to use the technology. And yeah, we're gonna continue building, and you will meet a lot of people like that in the space, and you're gonna learn crazy things, right? Things that are completely like we hanged out at the another side event, right? And we met a professor and a Dex founder or whatever he had, exchange founder. They were talking about like anti-bot MEV protection and threshold. I'm
We met a lot of people.
like, what is MEV? And they started explaining things. I'm like, holy cow, that's crazy.
I met lawyers. I met a DJ. It was like I met so many
VV,
people,
yeah.
and you know, I wasn't gainfully employed at the time because this was depths of the bear market, and so I had to tell people that I was an unemployed podcast host, which seemed to get sort of a laugh. But if you're in crypto, you hold crypto. It's almost like being on the same sports team or something like that. It's like there's an automatic level of acceptance, and people will talk to you, especially if you're nice to them, right? Um, nobody, nobody's going to engage with somebody who's a meanie pants. So
But here's the deal, right? Even if you're unemployed but you're doing something in the space and you can't afford a ticket, fine. But you have the passion and you have the heart. Like, it still takes time to drive there or fly there or whatever,
yeah,
right? Walk there. It's time that you take out of your day. Like, people are hitting me up and say, hey Nin, can I have like some budget for this gaming conference? It's not a lot, maybe a couple $100, whatever, right? $1,000. I'm like, dude, awesome. Like, and I want to go and represent Cardano gaming community, right? uh like, why not? Like, people spend $1,000 on really dumb and stupid stuff.
yeah. Yes, they
You know,
do. And if
uh,
we go back to the 4 functions of money, it's spend, save, invest, give away. So you could look at it as either investing or giving away, both which are noble causes. You can only spend and save so much money. At what point does it become, useless, right? So you
yeah,
can make new friends that way. You can help other people build their dreams, and people don't forget when you help them out when they had nobody helping them out. Let me tell you that. So
yeah. It's in
worthwhile.
if the ticket's like a couple $100 or $500 or whatever, right? And it gets them to really love the ecosystem and what Cardano is about, what we're about, right? And I do it for that one person that really needs it. Maybe
Mhm.
it could be mental health thing, could be where they are in life. There's a lot of like uh uh suicide stuff going on from loneliness, especially loneliness, right? Conferences fix that, a lot of that. They're like,
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
I'm not alone in this, right? As a builder, you're grinding, you're frustrated, there's bugs everywhere, right? And so, taking a break from that is really, really nice and much needed. And if I had a $500 to send somebody to a conference and they really fall in love with the community and with Cardano, right? That's a great, like, if I have to spend $500 billion, but if we get like a billion people into Cardano, right? The value out of that will be in, trillions and trillions of dollars.
It
So
makes it all worth it. You were going to say, you
yeah,
said fall in love with Cardano. I was just thinking as you said that, I wonder how many people have gone to crypto conferences and fallen in love because they both love crypto. I'm sure that that's happened at the Bitcoin conference or at Consensus. It's,
yeah,
you don't, it's just like any conference. My brother likes to go to anime and gaming conferences and stuff like that. And, he's met lots of people who are into that same thing. And if Some of those people happen to be the opposite sex or the same sex or whatever your orientation is. It's an automatic thing that you have in common. And crypto is, as much as we'd like to say it's taking over the world, it's still pretty small now at the moment compared to most industries. So it's an interesting way to meet people. And
people are nice, man. Like, arguably, I don't know much about NFTs. I went and I met this guy, Matt, from Czech Republic. Like, he flew all the way from Czech for a
wow.
Cardano conference. And like, I just asked him, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about NFTs? And he started walking me through Clay Nation, through Ape Society, and explained to me, like, NFTs it's really about community, man. It's about being part of something, like
That's
a
true.
movement.
Yeah.
It's not about the digital art and stuff. The PFPs are cool, right? But to me, like, everybody has their own view. So it's like, you can do a lot of things at an event, right? Just like if you take a vacation, you can do a lot of things, but it's just jam packed with an agenda, with speakers, with sessions, with projects that are out there that you probably would get a lot out of, besides the networking and the food and the venue and the city. So,
and that seems like a great place for us to end here, Nin. I've got one comment that came in, and it's from X Legends, and it says, "Remember, Dad, if you need a place to stay near Miami, you got me." And that was from apparently Endo. I'm not sure. A lot of these people on Twitch, Rand knows. I'm not aware of them, but thank you, Endo. Appreciate that. Miami is quite an expensive place to stay. I stayed in Little Havana when I was there last time, and it was not cheap, but it was an investment in myself. Fascinating place. So
crazy place.
That's right. That's an understatement. Rounding this up and off, we've had Ninh Tran from Snapbrillia here on the Rare Network podcast. Of course, the Rare Network podcast brought to you by Rare Evo, the premier multi-chain crypto conference happening August 24th to 26th here in beautiful Denver, Colorado, where I am at the Gaylord Rockies Resort. Go to rareevo.io to get your tickets and get discounted hotel rooms. Today, you're going to want to look at the VIP ticket in particular, because it's going to give you access to all sorts of stuff. Show up at a party, find me, find Nin. I promise I'll talk to you. I don't bite at all. I'm not a founder or anything like that. I just like talking about mostly Bitcoin, but other stuff as well. I'm big.
I don't bite either. Well, I'm a founder.
Well, okay. Nin doesn't bite either. He's actually really nice. I met him here at ETH Denver. So you're definitely going to want to come out to that. rareevo.io. Rare Evo here in Denver, Colorado. Nin, thank you so much for being on the Rare Network podcast. Will you come back?
Oh, dude, let me know when. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for having me here. It's been an honor. It's been fun, and I can't wait to see everybody at Rare Evo in August.
Perfecto. Last thing, where should they find you online? We know snapbrillia.com, but
snapbrillia.com, on LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm like pretty much everywhere. I'm doxxed everywhere, so can't miss it.
Yes.
And if it's the wrong Ninh Tran, if it's connected with Web3 and not a doctor, that's probably me, because most of the other Ninh Trans are doctors.
Well, and as you can see,
like Google alerts, Ninh Tran, doctor, this, that. Anyways,
that's hilarious. I wouldn't have known that. He said it, not me. That's hilarious. So Ninh Tran, founder, Snapbrillia here, not a bot, real guy. I've met him in person, unless AI has really gotten that good that they're doing 3D stuff now. But no, we will see everybody there at Rare Evo. Stay tuned. We don't know when the next Rare Network podcast is happening, but hopefully it's soon, coming to a stream near you. Goodbye, everybody. See you, Nin.
See you guys.